I have great speakers lined up with me today to actually discuss how to and help you how to land that first interview. And I have fantastic colleagues of mine joining me today. And maybe we start with a short introduction.
Okay, do I start? Ladies first. So Arja Martikainen, I think some of you may have been already this morning in my short presentation about how to make yourself a catch in the gaming industry. And long-time recruiter since 2004 in the gaming industry, and even before that, but that's another story.
Yeah, maybe I can continue. I'm Tuuli, and currently I'm living the dream as an HR specialist at Dazzle Rocks, rapidly growing startup here in Helsinki. I have a long history in games industry HR. I've been there for about 7-8 years, both in big studios and now in smaller startups. So I've kind of been through the ringer and seen it all. So yeah. Excited to get to talk today about what are we actually looking for when looking for new team members.
Yeah, hi from me as well. My name is Petteri Tuima. I'm currently working at Vault, which only really has one game, and it's a secret game that you get when you're ordering something. You will find that if you do. But before Vault, I was working at Vario doing virtual reality XR stuff with also like games tech, Unreal and Unity engines, and then before that at Remedy Entertainment, finding people to work on the game Control, which you might have heard of. And I worked in recruitment for 6 years as well. So nice to be here.
Cool. Thank you very much. I read recently this study that there's only 7 seconds when the recruiter look for in their resume, and what we would like to know or give our audience today is that how to make that 7 seconds impression so that you land that first interview. And I'll start first with a few questions. We actually asked the audience to give us the questions, so we compiled it. So first of all, I want to ask, what do you think are the important parts of a resume?
Yeah, so maybe I can start. I think the main thing is that, for me at least, especially when I have 200 applications to see, it's really important for me to just be able to find what I'm looking for fast. And we usually, as recruiters, we know what we're looking for. And if the job ad, if you're sending an application into a job ad, if the job ad is written well, you should also know if you're qualified for the application or qualified for the position or not. So, being able to kind of fast see, like, okay, if there is, some sort of recommendation for the experience amount or any sort of technology that you need to know, being able to find those things fast in a CV is the most important thing, I would say.
Yeah, I can tell you that I usually give a little bit more mercy, so I put down like 30 seconds that I go through when I go through a CV, because I've also learned that I've hired once a brilliant person who had basically 3 lines in this application, and there was like really nice portfolio and some like hints that okay, there is something there, but like the person wasn't able to advertise him or herself. But don't trust to that. So like Tuuli says, you have to have like well-structured CV. And then one of the early recommendations or advice that I got from very experienced game studio director at some point, like early 2000, was that if the CV doesn't contain the word game, you can drop it to the trash bin straight ahead. That's cruel, but it happens. And unless you are like looking for a job in accounting or some other, but even there, they are asking that, okay, how is your feeling about games? Do you feel favorable? Like, do you kind of like enjoy that? So, Petteri.
Yeah, I feel like the most important thing is that you're always catering for the role that you're applying for. So I've had people actually apply with these CVs that are catered for like one job specifically, but you don't have to go that far. You could just have type of job specific CVs that you have, resumes where you highlight the information that is really important to you. For instance, I had this one candidate from Russia with whom I was speaking recently, who is a full stack developer, but since he was applying for a backend developer position, he had only really highlighted this backend experience, but he did talk about the front-end experience also during the interview, which was then a positive from my point of view. Like, okay, so you have these extra skills that you didn't actually talk about. So always think about the fact that, okay, you can see the job ad, you can see what the company is looking for, what kind of stack they have, for instance, or what kind of skills they appreciate, and then try to highlight those. Or if you're lacking in something, just like also make a point of like, maybe you're doing some Coursera courses or something else, you're trying to learn those things and are super interested to do those things, and that kind of things I would like include in the resume.
Yeah, and also from my side, like really think about what are the like specific things that have to do with the job that you're looking for. Don't include everything, because I mean, yeah, even though you've done all of this cool stuff, not necessarily all of it corresponds directly with what you're applying to. So really sort of think about what is actually relevant from a recruiter's perspective when they're looking at your CV.
Yeah, and I could also add that very often I see resumes or CVs that are basically like that you can see clearly that the candidate is shooting everything, and it also gives a very good impression if you kind of like, if I get an image that okay, this person actually like has read the advert, is interested in an area, like, and also like, for example, when it comes to genre, there are certain this it's you do not apply with a candy colored like portfolio to a first person shooter, like really dark type of gaming project. So you need to also think smart, like that does your background and your skill and portfolio actually match to the company. So this is also like, so don't shoot just everything that moves.
Yeah,
it gives kind of like a little bit of desperate feeling.
This is excellent. This is actually complements my next question. Do you think, or actually should each cover letter or job application be tailored to job vacancy, like a resume be tailored to the job vacancy?
Yeah, so what, for example, Petteri said earlier, it's not necessary to have tailored CVs for each individual thing, but maybe by like job category. So yeah, I would advise that. And please don't do it the way that you send the application to all of the different recruitment emails, and then you can see all of the places where the person has sent the same application to, so you can see all of the other studios. Yeah, so that happens quite often, and it's a bit unfortunate. I understand that, you know, for some people it's easier to send the same application to every place, but you can quite easily tell if it's not tailored to specifically the studio or the job that the person's looking for. So yeah, please don't do that, because yeah, it can leave a bit of a not such a good impression on recruiters. So yeah,
and sometimes I hear that like there are CVs coming from customer support emails, and so like don't push your CV, like Tuuli says, to every possible address. And then nowadays I do not even accept like direct like CVs sent directly to my email, because it's against like this GDPR actually has like put some barriers, like what we can like keep in our emails. So sometimes I may ask for it, okay, so like just get in touch, but then I usually show a place where you can drop your CV, and then it also like means that you have at least read the like the from the advert, that how do you apply, where do you drop your CV and portfolio.
Yeah, it's sort of common courtesy, like you're showing respect towards the company as well when you're doing that. But this is one like a bit like questionable example that I like to give it, but it's like when you're writing a cover letter, for instance, like try to think it in a way that if you'd be like dating, looking for people to like become your chosen one in life, for instance, like in Tinder or somewhere else, would you send the same message to everyone basically? And or would you like to like send something that actually highlights what the person is or what they're interested in, something that you're sharing common, like, hey, I noticed that you like climbing, it's something I've been doing also like for 5 years. Have you went somewhere? Like trying to have it be personal, because the people that are reading your applications are people like myself. So when I read about the fact that, for instance, like, yeah, I've been a Remedy Games fan since I was 5 years old, that like creates emotion in me as well, and that creates a sense of like remembrance of you as an applicant as well. Even if we wouldn't go forwards, it's still something like which I appreciate highly, and it's much more likely that I will send you a personalized message at least saying that, hey, thank you for your application, these are kind of things that we would like to see more of, because I can see the motivation in you as well.
Thank you. Is my LinkedIn or portfolio enough for the application, or do I need to have a separate CV?
I would say that it's kind of case by case. Some people's LinkedIn profiles are very sort of bare bones and don't really go too deep into what the responsibilities have been. If your LinkedIn profile is well filled out, if it's clear and concise, easy to find information, I don't see why there needs to necessarily be a separate CV. Maybe it's then more smarter to open up about things in your cover letter, or include a portfolio, like depending on the position that you're looking for. So for me, it's not a huge like minus if you just send a LinkedIn profile to me if it's well filled out and if it's really kind of thought out in that sense. So not a problem for me, at least.
The same here. And at least like if you are looking for a job, so LinkedIn is one of those places where headhunters are crawling through the candidates and trying to find the keywords. So put the keywords there at least, and then if it looks like that, okay, there seems to be a match. So usually you exchange the CV, like you will be able to send the CV or a reply. And also there are like some headhunters or recruiters or art directors. Actually, I know that they go through these portfolios from ArtStation or similar. So try to include the best works that you have there. Like when it comes to artists, nowadays it's so hard to get employed as an artist. So there's huge competition. So do a bit of work for your portfolio and try to make it good and put yourself available in a way that you are a bit easier to find sometimes.
Yeah, and on LinkedIn, what I find really nice, especially for recruiters, is that if you put there, like, what are you looking for? Especially if you are looking for a job, hey, like, I'm open to, data analyst or data scientist positions or whatever it is. It makes our jobs easier because, especially if you have a varied work history, maybe you've done art, maybe you've done finance, maybe you've done this and that. So it's kind of maybe hard for us to tell that, okay, what are you actually looking for, especially if you're sending an open application and you don't specify what you want to do. So that makes our jobs sometimes a little bit more difficult. So it's always better to specify kind of like what you're looking for, especially if you're sending an open application or just thinking about what to put on your LinkedIn profile if you're looking for a job.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good LinkedIn profile, you don't need CV. They are redundant, and usually I spend more time watching LinkedIn profiles and CVs because it's just a more clearer format, because you get used to it. It's the same for everyone, so it's really easy to read. But one thing that I would like to point out as well is just like put the information about the kind of roles that you're interested in the about section, for instance. Like again, like if you are switching careers or changing focus, then put it in there. Like, I'm looking currently for this kind of a job, especially in like the game industry, for instance, because that helps people find you, but then also people who are checking out your profile after you have applied makes them understand better that, okay, this is actually something that they're like publicly also pushing towards.
Yeah.
Yes, and also like I also respect if in your LinkedIn, for example, you say that currently I'm not looking for a job. So then I do not bounce you unless you are very choosy case.
I might still contact you at that point.
Does it make the applicant
but
more
has
appealing to you if he writes there, I'm not looking for a job?
Not necessarily. It's more about what are we currently looking for and what the market situation is. Because obviously, for I think any job all across the world, if you're looking for, let's say, a junior level, entry level positions, there are quite a bit of people who are looking for those jobs. So there's a lot more variety and a lot more people to choose from. But when you go up to the senior executive level type jobs, most of those people already are working and they don't necessarily want to change their careers. But if the right opportunity comes along, maybe they can think about it. So usually in those cases, even though those people might write like, hey, I'm not looking for anything right now, it still might be something that once we get talking, maybe they get interested. So yeah.
You touched one interesting question or a point about the cover letter. We have a question. Is the cover letter important? And if yes, what should it contain?
No, at least like motivation. Why are you interested in this specific position? I always ask it. And what is the, like in a nutshell, what is the skill set? Why would you be the right choice? And like cover letter usually at least like tells that that you have actually read the job ad.
Yeah, and for me, the motivation is definitely one that I really like to have somewhere to be accessible, because that's also one of the first questions that I ask from people is that why did you decide to apply? What made you interested? And the other thing is that if there's something in your CV that the recruiters can't necessarily read between the lines. If you want to open up about something, if you want to open up about your achievements, for example, in your previous job or something else, something proven that can sort of give the recruiter the idea that, okay, this is what this person has been able to achieve in their previous work. This is the hardships that they've maybe went through and really kind of learned things from them. Kind of opening stuff up like that, it really makes it more easier for me to kind of get to know those people. And I don't want guys I don't want people to write like huge novels and 5-page letters. 1 page is sufficient enough. And also like in terms of CVs as well, please keep it to a 1 page, max 2 if it's like really necessary for you to have 2 pages if you don't send a LinkedIn profile. So yeah, that's kind of the rule that I usually go by.
From my point of view, the more junior you are or the less experience you have from the job that you're applying to, the more important the cover letter is. As you get more experience, then it's maybe less important. Then it's okay just to say like, hey, you seem to have a cool project or a cool company, you want to chat. But the less experience you have, then it really fills the gaps in your experience if you have good motivation.
Yeah.
And the kind of stuff that I would put in there as well is to again, talk about the company and the role specifically, about what you're interested in, and don't have that kind of boilerplate stuff that you have a lot, like this, like unnecessary pleasantries and stuff like
I'm
that.
hardworking and diligent and
exactly stuff that's just taking space from the kind of things that would actually make an impact on the people that are reading. So talking about, again, job ad wise and company wise and project wise, why you're so interested in this.
Yeah. So for example, if in a job ad, the company writes that, hey, you need to have really good communication skills. Maybe you can talk about a project where you demonstrated really good communication skills, and that led to something, some kind of an achievement because of your good communication skills, or you solved a problem, or whatever it is. So really kind of bring it back to the job ad. So yeah.
Yeah, rather be poignant and talk about something like specific, and not try to cover every single base that there is about, like, I'm great at working alone, but also with a team, and then like I'm interested in this and done this and that, but also like, so pick your battles.
Yeah. And also like in gaming industry, it is what I'm looking at and what my customers, because I work for other companies. So what I'm looking at is that, for example, is there some published games? So list them if you have been long enough, if you have been able to be long enough in a company where you were actually able to publish, or being in the team that published something. It doesn't matter like how did it go, but you've done the drill. So this is one of those things that I try, that it would be like an easy catch for me, at least, to find out. Usually I go through certain other things, like in an interview. And then what is it there, like I mentioned earlier, that, okay, if it doesn't contain like word game, so then I'm not necessarily interested. Like, so there has to be game there, like the word, but then also the substance. So for example, if I'm looking for a person to gamified e-learning music app like project, so then of course I would be happy to see the word music there. Or then another like first person shooter, or like I love casual games, I play them all the time, I love this and that. So something like what could kind of like be appealing to the reader. Okay, this guy, this person has been like interested in this topic, or does that.
Yeah. What do you think about the picture in the resume? Would you like to have it or not? Just an opinion.
I don't.
For me, there's no. I don't really like. I don't have any strong feelings about it. I mean, if you have it there, great. If you don't, great. I mean, it's not about your picture. It's what's in the text. So it's it can sometimes, especially if you're an artist, it would be nice if you do decide to make a CV, you could show a little bit of your art style there, or your visual style. So that's always nice, I think, in artist CVs, and especially if you like, in addition to the portfolio, if you can kind of show a little bit more of the artistic flair, that's always nice. But yeah, I don't have any strong feelings for or against it. So yeah.
What about Petteri?
Sorry, I was just answering a message on chat.
Is it important for you to see the picture in the resume?
For me, it's just something that helps me remember the person like easier when there are a ton of people there, but it isn't like super important. But like, again, if you have a LinkedIn profile, then I can check it from there. But like nowadays, I feel like most CVs don't have pictures, and it's completely okay.
Tuli, you actually mentioned this quite interesting. So I want to ask you this, setting the tone of a resume. How important is it, for instance, if it's a creative or art style, or do you feel that the person needs to somehow reflect it in a resume, or would you just rather prefer a resume like kind of black and white?
I think it's, especially for creative roles, it's always, I think, a plus for me. And especially, again, I think it comes down to the fact that, for example, what was mentioned earlier about the cover letters for junior people. If you are a junior, I think it's really nice to have it as a plus if you can show that sort of artistic flair, or something else in the CV that sort of gives us a better impression of your skills and stuff like that. But it's not necessary. I think mostly recruiters, they still just kind of look for the actual facts and the actual skills and sort of does this person tick the boxes that we have for the role that we're looking for? So I would say that especially if you're junior to mid-level, then it can be a plus to sort of put that extra effort into it. But it's not necessary if you do have already the skill set that the company is looking for. And it's really kind of, I saw in the chat there was a message about, it's kind of confusing. Nothing's ever good enough, and my CV never gets attention, and so on. But it's really hard to give a golden rule, because every company also, every recruiter has a bit of a different priority, and every company has their own processes on how they look for people. So it's really hard to give a golden rule, but there are these certain types of things that you can do to make recruiters' lives easier, which can then increase your chances of getting that first interview.
One of the best junior applications I saw, it's like a while ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, and this person applied to a very nice company in Helsinki, and this junior with barely 1 year of experience but good education background made a PowerPoint presentation of the character, like the slug of that company, that was the main character in the game, and 3-4 pages, and pushed through past all the seniors just with putting effort to this PowerPoint, and got a job. And it was somehow okay, don't be too lazy either, so that, because there were several seniors that obviously assumed that, okay, I'm gonna catch this job, I'm so good. But then there came this junior and kind of put thought and effort to this visualization, and that how he would be doing things with this character. It was actually a very smart move. It doesn't work every time, but I still remember this, and this memory. It was fun.
Yeah, again, from my perspective, it's good to have kind of different kind of styles in the CVs resumes, depending on the job. If you have a very ugly CV or resume and you are applying for a design job, it definitely doesn't do any favors for you. It's something I'm really confused about, maybe. But again, it's not about how many hours you put into creating an awesome CV or something, but it's about just creating something that the person will remember. So try to think about something that a person can pick up and kind of be okay, this has been, maybe at least some thought has been put into this, and the person is obviously invested and actually interested in finding this job, and not just throwing again these resumes around like candy.
Actually, Mike, probably last question would be what are the most memorable resumes that you came across, or the applications? Because now you had that excellent point, but I'm actually interested to hear more.
Yeah, for me, back when I was working at Ubisoft, we were working on this game that had kind of 80s to 90s vibe and very sort of colorful art and neon colors and all that. And there was this one guy who sent in an art portfolio. He had made basically a booklet of his portfolio. So it was a physical package that arrived in the mail to us. So that was extra mile right there. But it was a physical box, and there was this nice portfolio, and we had a lot of cassette tapes and CDs and stuff like that in the game. So he had actually also included a CD in the application. The problem was that I didn't have a way to actually play that CD, or I didn't have a CD type thing in my laptop at the time, so I had to like actually go to someone else to be like, hey, can you help me like access this stuff that's on the CD? And then it ended up not working for some reason. So I still don't know what was on that CD, but I thought that was super memorable. Unfortunately, the person didn't end up getting a job at that point, but that was a really memorable thing to me. But I would also just during this time, especially, like it's much better to really think about the digital experience and not just, don't start sending physical packages to every studio, because that's not necessarily a good thing to do. But it was still memorable for me. But in the end, it actually didn't end up working because I wasn't able to access the information, and the person had also not sent in a digital application at all. So yeah, in the end, it didn't work, even though it was memorable.
For me, it was like this video application that I received while I was at UIT doing like construction recruitment. This person had done like a whole video, it's like sketch type thing about himself and like why he should get the job. And I shared that thing across the whole like recruitment team, and this person definitely did get a job because they had to put a lot of effort making it really UIT specific. But then like there was this one also at Remedy where they had like included some like fan art that they've done or doodled, something like that just showed this kind of really strong passion for it.
Arja, maybe the final words from you. Any memorable, or that was the one?
No, that was one of those, but like I've seen so many of these, but like then I think the other one is that I've seen somebody getting employed like with basically 3 lines. So, but I had to dig deeper, but I just like, I think I went online or somewhere like to LinkedIn or something and checked that, okay, there must be something here. So sometimes you need to, as a recruiter, you need to also like trust to your hunch. So that there is something interesting, and especially the early times of gaming industry, we had to pretty much figure out the right candidate out of the box, or like out of the woods. So
look, the much I enjoyed talking to you. Next time we are definitely going to do a little bit longer. I thought that half an hour will be boring. I see so many questions, but sorry, we need to move on with the agenda. And I want to thank personally Tuuli, Arja, Petri. Thank you very much for being with us today. And Luke, I'll try to answer all of those questions because we are also doing recruiting, and I've actually screened all of your resumes who are here today. So I'll try
and also guys, feel free to hit me up on in chat. I have meetings all throughout the day, but at the end of the day, I'll be answering stuff in my own like message chat. So please feel free to send any questions my way as well.
To the Game Security Talents. I'll also like answer because I screened all of these applicants. I was the one doing that job. Hey, but thank you very much, and we move on with the agenda. So thank you guys, and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.